Here with NSU Athletics Director Greg Burke. Greg, you've announced the hiring of Brad Laird as a new head football coach. Opening thoughts about how this move made sense for you in the department?
Well, first of all, I just want to say how excited I am to give Brad this opportunity, and I know he feels the same way. I'm in my 22nd year as athletic director at NSU and have hired over 80 coaches and staff during that time period, and most of the time when we've done that process, I mean, it's been arduous, labor-intensive, lengthy, the way it ought to be, really reaching out and trying to be thorough. But, sometimes the best choice is right in your backyard. And I know that's how we feel about Brad. As an administration, we feel that way, getting some very strong, I think, sentiment from our fans and from others as well. I've known Brad now, 26, 27, 28 years, something like that, and feel like I probably know him better than most people that have any kind of affiliation with the NSU football program, and I know how excited he is about this. I know he is extremely motivated to win football games and to bring championships back to NSU for our fans, our community, our campus, our former athletes, especially our former football players, and he's got a lot of people in his corner. And I think he takes that very personally, that he wants to live up to the expectations. And overall, this was not a personnel move that we had to make. Yeah, you make it internally, you can promote somebody. It's a personnel move because we feel it's the right time for the right person for the right job.
You mentioned his connection to this university and to this community. How much does that help him coming in? He's definitely not starting from scratch here.
If you remember that commercial by that apparel company, and I won't say who it is because they're not our apparel company, Adidas is, but that commercial, Bo Jackson, Bo knows, well, Brad knows. Brad knows our team, our program, our football program, our athletic program, our university, our fans, our community, our campus. He knows it all. I mean, he has such a familiarity with everything, based on his affiliation, and that goes back to when he was a little boy running out on the football field when his dad, Billy, was coaching here back in the 1970s. And so, he has so much knowledge, and of course, I think he's got a passion that would be unparalleled by anybody else that we would put in this position because of the lifetime connection to this university. Brad and I've spent on a few occasions the last couple of weeks, lengths of time talking about the job, talking about the program, talking about his vision and his plan, and he has that, and I think that's going to be articulated more at the press conference next week. But, contrary to, I guess, opinion in some corners, Brad didn't come here in January to be named the football coach in November. He came here to be the associate head coach and the defensive coordinator and to help this football program win games. And as it worked out, we're sitting here now talking about him being the head coach, but in retrospect, maybe the value of being here over the last 11 months, the perspective that he has that once again nobody else could have, all the good things that are taking place within the program, the good things we talked about last week that are accredited to Jay Thomas, but then at the same time, as anybody would be assuming a new position, he has a vision and he has some thoughts about how some things can be done in a different way to maybe make the program better. And I think when you put that all together, I think that excites me and excites a lot of people about him being our next head coach.
You, of course, alluded to his connection to the community, his experience here, of course, as a defensive coordinator, about a decade ago, but also his experience this year. What kind of factors allowed you to make this decision so quickly and make this move in the speed that you did?
Well, I think you mentioned his connections. I mean, engagement is the word that I think about with Brad a lot. I mean, he just has pure and simple a persona. When he walks into a room, whether it's a room, the Kiwanis Club, the Faculty Senate, the team meeting room, an alumni function room, he has a persona that and I think that persona partly is a result of a lifetime almost of connectivity to NSU, and represents himself in such a first-class manner. He's a man of integrity. He's a great family man. On our campus, and I think I'm a big believer in connecting with the campus and our faculty and our staff, and I think Brad would tell you that one of the best decisions that he made, even though he didn't realize it at the time, was to leave coaching for a little bit and go over and be the executive director of the NSU Foundation, because, as he said, it opened his eyes up to the entire campus. And I think it's natural for coaches, and it's very understandable, to be very myopic about their sport and what they have to do day in and day out. And like Brad said, gosh, I got outside the four walls of the field house, I got away from Turpin Stadium, and I realized there's a big campus out there with a lot of good people who can help our athletic program. And I think that's going to be a positive for a football coach to have that kind of mindset. He's very well connected and very well respected in the coaching community, especially in Louisiana. Obviously, his dad's name, his name, but over in Texas as well, up into Arkansas, the Mississippi junior colleges, everywhere we need to be to get football student athletes to come here, everywhere we need to be to not have those recruits go somewhere else, go out of state. We don't need them being in Shreveport and going out of state. We don't need them in New Orleans and going over to Mississippi. We need them coming to NSU. And the nice thing about Brad is those high school coaches, football aside, they know what kind of person they're going to be sending their young men to play for at NSU. He's got great coaching pedigree, and obviously I've mentioned his dad, Billy Laird, already. I mean, that influence is forever going to be with him. But he's had some others. I mean, Sam Goodwin is one of the most, if not the most revered coach, right at the top of the list, along with Coach Clayton, Coach Turpin, of head coaches at NSU. He's just been around so many good quality coaches who are also good men. And then finally, he's just a good family man. His wife Renee is going to be a great head coach's wife. Brianna and Brock, they've grown up being Demon fans, and I just think that when you put that all together, his persona, his public relations connections, and all that, I just think it's going to be a real positive thing, and it's going to pay dividends.
What's the next step for Brad? You mentioned recruiting, relationships that he has around the state and in neighboring states. What's that next step for him and this department to make football more winning?
Well, I mean, yeah, we got to win more. We got to win more ball games, and ultimately, we got to win championships. We want to be in the playoffs. There's 24 teams now. I mean, that's never happened before until maybe the last several years. And the Southland has 3 teams in this year. Why shouldn't NSU be one of those 3 teams year in and year out? And Brad, obviously, he's going to hit the ground running. I mean, it's not the reason you do it, but if you feel like you've got the right guy right here, name him and let him get to work. I mean, he's got to put together a staff. He immediately is going to start talking to coaches. He's got to contact the recruits who have committed to come here and start working on some who haven't, that we want to get here. So Brad's got his work to do. As a department to win football games, we've got some things in place already. I mean, I think people, sometimes you want to stop and remind folks, we were 4-5 in the Southland Conference this year. You take the Sam Houston game and the Nichols game, those 2 losses combined, we're 4 minutes away from being 6-3. Yeah, improvements have to be made, and we made a coaching change, I guess, that says that's what has to happen. But there are a lot of good things in place already that I think administratively we've done to help the football program. About $1.5 million in renovations to our stadium over the last year or so, between the new chairbacks and really the whole new look of the west side. And then, of course, the video board, which everybody's raving about. Something which is subtle, but I think is worth mentioning. We talked a lot about how much Jay Thomas enhanced the academic profile of the program. Well, administratively, we made a commitment 3 years ago when we got an NCAA grant to add a second assistant position to the academic staff. That position mainly works with our at-risk student athletes, and some of those at-risk student athletes are football players. And when that grant money dried out or ended at the end of last year, our commitment as a university was to maintain that position. That's, like I said, the football coaches deserve credit because they focus on academics, but the administration made a commitment to fund another position to help with that. Game day atmosphere. I mean, I think we've got as good of a game day atmosphere. I've heard that from Jay Thomas. I've heard that from Brad Laird. I've heard that from others. I'll put our game day atmosphere up against anybody in the Southland Conference and beyond. I think we've got a lot of good things with the Spirit of Northwestern, the Purple Smoke, the whole 9 yards. And then, as a university, we've got a lot of momentum right now with Dr. Maggio as our president, an all-time record enrollment of 10,572, which, what I tell recruits all the time, what that should say to them is, football scholarship aside, this is a good place to go to school. A lot of young people your age right now are choosing to come to NSU to be a student because there's a lot of good things going on. So a lot of that's in place already, and I don't think that should be overlooked or taken for granted, but there has to be more. I will tell you that we are definitely going to enhance the salary pool for the football staff, and that's got to be money that's got to be raised through the Demons Unlimited Foundation, and that can't be one of those deals where somebody who's given X amount now is going to say, well, I want that X amount to go toward the football salaries because we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. No, we've got to have people who, A, aren't doing anything financially to step up and help us, or people who are doing something financially to maybe give a little bit more. But we're going to enhance the salary pool, and hopefully that's going to help as far as not just retaining good football coaches, because we've got some good coaches, but attracting good football coaches, but the key is retaining those coaches when you've got better salaries. We're in very serious discussion and getting final plans for a strength and conditioning center, which is going to be state-of-the-art, and it's going to move us right to the top of the Southland Conference. We're not going to spare any bells or any whistles. We're going to suddenly take what we have, which is not satisfactory, and we're going to go to the top of the Southland Conference. To accomplish that, we're going to have some of our benefactors and our investors and alumni are going to have to step up, but I think they're going to, because I think they want us to win football that badly. And then we've got a project which is a little bit further out on the horizon, and I'm going to kind of throw it out there as an appetizer without saying much, but if we can get that project done, that would turn our university and our athletic program and our football program on its ear, and we're working very hard on that, and hopefully that's something within another year or so we can announce. But like I said, I think it's a combination of, don't overlook the things that are in place, but don't be satisfied with that, and continue to do some things under Brad's leadership that are going to help him and help his staff and help his football team be more successful.
Greg, thank you very much.
Orcam Demons.